You have spent the last 2 days working on one-step equations. Now we're going to learn how to do two-step equations. The good thing about two-step equations is it's exactly like one-step equations. You just do everything twice. Okay? So let's quick the rules one more time. We have to undo everything that has been done to the x. Okay? And the biggest problem that kids have when they're trying to do two-step equations is figuring out where to start. Okay, so you're always going to start by getting rid of the lonely number. Okay, so make sure you write that down. When you don't know where to start, you get rid of the lonely number. For example, if I have the equation 2x plus 4 equals 7, I need to get rid of this number first because it's the one that's lonely and on the same side of the x. That's an important thing to write. Okay, so let's actually, I'm going to erase this. Let's finish out that rule. Get rid of the lonely number on the same side as x, or whatever your variable is. Okay, we're not talking about the answer here. We're talking about the constant, okay, which is the number that is by itself on the same side of x. And we'll talk about that again in a minute when we do an example. The second thing that you have to remember, okay, remember to rewrite your problem every time. That's like before. Okay, the other thing that's like before is you need to do anything you do to one side, you have to do it to the other. Okay, so if do on one side of the equal sign, then it must be done on the other. Okay? And then the last thing that we need to is to get rid of fractions. You flip it and multiply. Okay, because remember, fractions are division. So to undo it, we're going to multiply. But I'll show you how to do that when we get to an example. Okay, let's start off with an easy example. Okay, make sure that you're writing these all down because you're going to need these examples to go back and help you do your work. Okay, so first example is 2x plus 7 equals 5. Now I don't have a lot of room on here, so I'm not going to rewrite the problem again, but remember, you are going to rewrite the problem every time. Do not just start doing it under the printed one on your paper. Rewrite the problem so you have plenty of room to work. Okay? And the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, where do I start? Well, you're going to start where rule number 1 you're going to start with the number that is by itself on the same side as the x. So here's the side of the x. Here's the number that's by itself. We need to get rid of that positive 7. How do we get rid of positive 7? Well, in order to get rid of positive 7, we subtract 7. And if we do it on the left, we have to do it on the right. Okay, so you're going to draw your line. Now, did we do anything to this 2x right here? No, we did not. So we're just going to bring it down. And I'm going to write in a different color so you can see that we're on a different step. Okay? Now up here you have positive 7 minus 7. That cancels out to 0. We're not going to write 0, we're just going to cross it out. Okay? I'm going to bring down my equal sign. And then I have 5 minus 7. You can put that in your calculator if you have a problem with negative numbers. Okay? But it's going to give you 5 minus 7 is negative 2. Okay? Now, we don't care about any of this up here. It's been done. Don't cross it out because I need to be able to see your work. But you're going to ignore everything that's up here. All that you care about now is this Brown equation. Okay, this Brown equation is where we're starting. And we're going to do the same thing over again. We have 2x. Well, how do we get x by itself? That's 2 times x. So to undo it, we're going to divide by 2. And if we do it on the left, we have to do it on the right. So negative 2 divided by 2. Okay? This cancels. Leaves me with x. Bring down my equal sign. And you can also do this part in your calculator. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So your correct answer is negative 1. And you can plug that back in and double check your answer. So if I were to do that, I would do 2 times negative 1 plus 7 equals 5. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus 7 equals 5. Negative 2 plus 7 does equal 5, so that checks. So your answer is correct. Let's look at another one. 5x minus 7. Okay, so start out number 1. We need to get rid of this number that's by itself on the same side as the x. So we have negative 7. To get rid of it, we're going to add 7. If we do it to one side, we've got to do it to the other. So, did we do anything with this 5x? No, we did not. So we're just going to bring it down, 5x. Okay? This negative 7 plus positive 7 cancels out. I'm not going to write 0. We don't want to put extra zeros in there. But I am going to bring down my equal sign. Don't forget to do that. And then we're going to do the right-hand side. Negative 2 plus 7 is going to be positive 5. Okay? So now remember, we're done with this step up here. It's completed. The green and the red we're done with. We're only looking at the blue. So, we have 5x equals 5. I have 5 times x. To undo that, I'm going to divide by 5. Do it on the left means we have to do it on the right. This cancels. Bring down your x. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Okay? Double check your answer. You can plug it back in. So we have 5 times 1 minus 7 equals negative 2. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 minus 7 does equal negative 2, so that checks. Okay? Let's look at the next one. Okay, this example is 8 minus 3x equals 14. So, same thing again, we need to get rid of the number that is by itself on the same side of the x. Okay, so that's going to be that 8. It's a positive 8, even though it doesn't have a plus in front of it, it's still positive. So to get rid of it, I need to subtract 8. And if I'm subtracting 8 over here, I have to subtract 8 over here. 8 minus 8 cancels. What am I left with right here? This is very important. I am left with negative 3x. So that is what I have to bring down. You must bring down that negative sign, okay? Bring down your equal sign, and 14 minus 8 is going to be positive 6. Okay? Now we have negative 3x equals 6. So to undo that, I'm going to divide both sides by -3. And what I get, this crosses out, leaves me with x. 6 divided by -3 is -2. Okay? And you should plug that in and check your answer. Let's go on and look at the next one. Okay, this one is going to be the exact same. Don't let the fact that there's a fraction mess you up. Okay? First thing we're going to do still is get rid of the number that's by itself on the same side of the x. That's that +2. So to get rid of it, we're going to do -2, both sides. Okay, we haven't done anything with this 1/3 x, so I'm just going to bring it down. +2 minus 2 cancels out. Bring down your equal sign. 1 minus 2 is -1. Okay? Now, I have 1/3 times x. Okay? To undo that, I'm going to flip the fraction and multiply by it. So I'm going to flip the fraction and I'm going to end up with 3/1. And I'm going to multiply. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay? The reason that I do that is because now watch, this cancels. I have a 3 on top and a 3 on bottom, so that cancels. A 1 on bottom and a 1 on top, that cancels. And leaves me with just x. Okay? Bring down my equal sign. -1 times 3/1. You can do that in your calculator. It's the same thing as -1 times 3. And you end up with -3. Okay? I understand those fractions can be a little confusing, so let's do one more. Okay. Here is 1/5 x plus 3 equals 4. So once again, we're going to get rid of that +3 by subtracting 3. I know to start there because it is the number that is by itself on the same side as the x. Now, I am going to bring down this 1/5 x because I didn't do anything with it. This cancels. Bring down my equal sign. 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay, so now I have 1/5x equals 1. So to undo that, I'm going to take this fraction and I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to do that to both sides. Okay? Do it on one side, you have to do it on the other. Even fractions. So we're going to cancel this out, that leaves me with x. 1 times 5/1 is the same thing as 5. Okay? So, plug it back in and make sure that you're right. 1/5 times 5 plus 3 equals 4. 1/5 times 5 is 1 plus 3 does equal 4. So our answer should check. Okay? Going to do some examples on a worksheet. They're the exact same thing as these. You just have to work through them step by step. Use your examples to help you get done.